And welcome to another edition of The End Zone, along with Josh Calloway. I am Colby Daniels. A lot going on in the sports world as we continue to ride the wave of excitement following the Thunder's NBA championship. Not to mention, it's almost officially football season as Big 12 Media Days begin next week in Arlington, Texas. SEC Media Days the week after in Atlanta, Georgia. So we're going to start trickling in the football conversation. But we have not forgotten about the Thunder's championship, and that conversation will continue all the way into next season as we welcome in this week's guest, 9-year NBA veterans, 3 of those, I believe, in OKC. He is former Thunder sharpshooter and the OG number 2, as I joked with him last week. He is Anthony Morrow. Anthony, my man, how are you on this 4th of July weekend?
I'm well, man. Y'all caught me at the beach, man. Me and the family down here with the kids. And, we having a good time. We're in North Myrtle Beach right now, so we got a chance to carve out some time through everybody's schedule to get a few days in with some little beach time. So we're having a good time down here.
Very nice, very nice.
I had to make time for y'all, man. I had to.
We appreciate you. We appreciate you. It's a fun time as a former Thunder player. I'm sure it's been a lot of fun for you to watch this team accomplish what it did and just see, I think, the overall reaction by the state of Oklahoma to the championship.
Oh, yeah, it was amazing to see that, man. And, a lot of people don't get not blessed enough to get the experience, not only just to go to a Thunder game, but to actually play for that, such a great organization. So just really, really proud of those guys, man. I'm proud of Shea. I'm proud of Coach Denegal, Sam, of course, and the whole organization itself, man, from top to bottom is A1. So if anybody deserved that this year, it was definitely the Thunder.
Well, Anthony, you mentioned it, that you're proud of Shea, and I'm curious, as a guy who played here and obviously played for this franchise, just your impressions of Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and just obviously the level of play, but also the way he's kind of embraced the city and the state. What's it been like to watch him develop into the superstar he's become?
I mean, I got a chance when I was working on a program for the Thunder a few years ago. I got a chance to watch him during training camp, and just the way he interacts with his teammates, with the community, how he is, his character, everything that he represents is right up that's right up the alley of what the Oklahoma City Thunder and Oklahoma City in general represents. So I mean, I think it was a perfect fit. A lot of people probably couldn't see with that trade what he was going to turn into, but obviously that's the genius of Sam Presti. So just watching him develop, him embracing it, being a city of family, like family culture. You can just look at it and tell that all of those guys are bought in, not just with the organization basketball-wise, but just the city itself. You never want to leave once you sign there. I didn't want to leave. But, I'm still ingratiated with them, man. So I'm just glad that, the city still embraced the old OG number 2, man.
This team is probably ahead of schedule, right? I mean, it's the second youngest team, I believe, ever to win a championship. Shea is obviously in the prime years of his career, but guys like J-Dub and Chet and Cason Wallace, those guys are just scratching the surface of what they're ultimately going to be in this league. You do have some veterans that you brought in the offseason with Caruso and Hartenstein, but Kevin Durant, I think this week earlier mentioned that when the Thunder made the finals in 2012, they maybe got ahead of schedule and they arrived too early. I think it kind of gets lost how ahead of schedule this team was just a few years ago. I mean, it was almost, as some people called it, an unwatchable product as a rebuild. And, Chet doesn't even play his rookie year. Just the trajectory that they've been on and the ability to I think, mature as both teammates and players is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it happened. I feel like faster than people thought, but I had them winning it this year. Denver was good, of course, but I think the stars and everything aligned for them this year, and they just took full advantage of it. Everything was clicking on all cylinders from, the player development guys, coaching, the guys, of course, on the team, and everything kind of fell in the right place, and they just took advantage of it because you see that happen with a lot of guys. And it's hard to get back to the finals if you don't win it. When you feel strike while the stove is hot. And they did that. They took full advantage of it. That 2012 team, we was watching it, but we saw what LeBron, that was their opportunity. They couldn't lose that because they had just lost the year before, the Miami Heat. So, it's all about taking advantage of your opportunity at the right time. And I think that's what the Thunder did. I just think that their trajectory is trending higher than the Miami Heat's was and that 2012 team, because their windows kind of started closing after that. But, you know, it is what it is. They figured it out. And, you know, they have a higher ceiling now because they're so young. And your best players in his prime. So we'll see. They got a lot of picks, too, still. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. It's definitely set up to maybe make a run at, one or two more of these things. But obviously, we kind of joked about at the top and enjoying this. The entire state's going to enjoy this all summer. What was it like, Anthony, for you to see the parade and like the celebration afterward? It felt like the entire state of Oklahoma made their way to Oklahoma City for the parade and all that. Were you able to kind of catch some of the parade coverage? As it was quite a scene around the city last week with the celebration.
Yeah, I was trying to make it out there. I couldn't. I had some obligations with my kids, but definitely just watching it from TV, with clips on Instagram and social media. I mean, everybody just looks so thankful, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, small market team. You know, it's been through a lot, you know, with everything over the years. Trying to win and trying to build a team in a market like this is not easy. But one thing that really stuck out to me was I was really happy for Sam. Like, seeing Sam emotional like that, because Sam is like a really poker face guy. He don't really show emotions, he just work. So seeing how happy he was, it was like a boulder lifted off his back. He got over that hump. It was something that he, you know, Sam is one of the most professional, sharp people I've met in my life. So to see him with that kind of emotion after that kind of success over this time period, it's just like a boulder lifted off of him. Like, you know, so I was really happy to see that, because I know the work he puts in. Me and Sam, I might be in the gym getting shots up 10 or 11 at night. Sam in the office. I just go back. I see him in there working. Yeah, I see him in there working.
That's right.
So,
no doubt. No doubt.
Blood, sweat, and tears into this, man. So it was really happy to see him, you know, in an emotional state after such a great season and finishing with a championship.
One thing before we let you run, I've been very hesitant to talk about the future of this team and next year and potentially the dynasty aspect, because I think it just completely undermines how difficult it is to actually win a championship and take advantage of those opportunities, and the stars kind of have to align. And I know Presti talked a lot about, you have to get some luck along the way to win a championship, and they were lucky to be healthy in the postseason. But when you look ahead, obviously the future is bright. SGA just re-signed for a max deal. They were able to extend a couple of the role players. Next offseason, it's going to be J-Dub and Chet's turn, but the core of this team is only going to mature and get better if health is able to stay on their side.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, we don't ever want to beg against, you know, but one thing I can say about Oklahoma City is that, you know, that staff over there in terms of the training staff, Donnie and all those guys, like, they do a great job, man, like, to prevent any type of injury. So as long as you do everything you're supposed to do as a player, God forbid some freak accident happens, they'll be healthy. They'll be another year older. They have a championship under their belt, so they have that experience now. The only thing I would be worried about is the West will be healthy next year. So Denver's going to be back. You know, the Rockets are going to be better. You know, so it's like some young teams that I think is going to, you know, Minnesota's going to be a year older. Like, so it's just different teams that, depending on what happens with Kyrie, Dallas. So it's still going to be highly competitive, but I feel like this past season they really got past some hurdles that they struggled with a couple years ago. And now they understand how to get that. You know, once you get that experience under your belt, you know how to fight through the Western Conference Finals in Game 6 or something like that to get to the finals. So I think that's the most important part for them, is just the experience. And they're still young. So we'll see.
Anthony, we appreciate the time, my man. Let's do it again soon. Enjoy the holiday weekend with your family, and we'll talk before long.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
OG number 2, Anthony Morrow, joining us here on this edition of The End Zone. We're talking college football and Big 12 Media Days coming up next here on The End Zone. Welcome back to The End Zone as we start to shift our focus to football season. Big 12 Media Days next week in Arlington, SEC Media Days the week after in Atlanta, but we're going to talk some Big 12 football. I think this upcoming year for the Big 12 is very fascinating in terms of what to expect. So some of the storylines, I think, going into Big 12 Media Days and the 2025 college football season, I think in terms of local interest, Josh, it has to start with Oklahoma State. And will they bounce back under head coach Mike Gundy, who experienced the first losing season at Cowboy football since his first year in 2005?
Yeah, it was a disastrous year. After they knocked off Arkansas early in the year and it kind of felt like they had a little something cooking, the season just fell off a cliff, obviously. It was a nightmare year and Stillwater, the worst year of Mike Gundy's tenure. So how can they bounce back? I know nationally I think there's not a lot expected from the Pokes, but that seems to kind of be when Mike Gundy gets the most out of his teams and his program. So, who's going to be under center at quarterback is obviously the big question, but you feel like Oklahoma State, as long as, they can remain healthy and obviously in some key areas, they should have a chance maybe to surprise some people this upcoming fall.
They were 3-0 in the non-con last year, 0-9 in Big 12 play.
It's nuts.
They only returned 1 offensive starter, 3 defensive starters. Maybe that's a good thing because they were so bad.
Sure.
Complete staff overhaul. I don't know what to expect. They do play at Oregon in the non-con, so 3-0 might not be necessarily the expectation in non-conference play, but Mike Gundy is absolutely at his best when everybody counts him out, so they maybe have that going for them. Arizona State, will they repeat as the Big 12 champs? Among Power 4 schools, they return the most starters in the country with 17.
Yeah, out of nowhere season last year. You remember they were picked last in the preseason poll last year, which they got rid of the preseason poll this time around, maybe because of that. They won the Big 12 and were right there against Texas to get to the semifinals in the playoff. No Cam Scattaboo this time, but Sam Levitt back, and like you said, a lot of their team back, and I love their coach with Kenny Dillingham. Yeah. So Arizona State, I figure, will be right back toward the top in the Big 12 again.
I think they're going to be really good, but I felt like Cam Scattaboo in some ways was the heart and soul of that team.
Huge.
So can
Absolutely.
they kind of adopt what his personality was that made them so successful next year? But there's no question, talent-wise, they're among the favorites in the conference. This is a pretty quarterback-rich league going into next year. Until Jake Ratzliff left BYU a few days ago, they were returning 12 of the 16 starters, 11 starting quarterbacks returning to the Big 12.
Yeah, it's the complete opposite of the SEC. When you talk about Oklahoma, the SEC, all these new quarterbacks, the Big 12, almost everyone's got their QB back. I love Sawyer Robertson at Baylor, is arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the country, certainly among the conference. Rocco Becht at Iowa State,
Jalen
another
Daniels
one.
at Kansas has high expectations.
Yeah, that's a huge storyline, and you would think that would help a lot of these teams take a step forward from where they were a year ago whenever you get that returning QB production. So, yeah, that's going to be a storyline, quarterback play all throughout the league.
Sometimes parity is viewed as a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. I think with the Big 12, it's been viewed as a bad thing.
Yeah.
The overall parity of the league, there's not a ton of separation. I think outside of maybe a couple of the bottom-tier teams, from Team 1 to about Team 12, 13, it feels like it's a pretty balanced league.
It is. It's wide open. It's a question for me is just, are any of these teams going to clearly emerge as this is their best shot for a deep playoff run team? Because you look at, I was kind of asking myself just earlier this week, like who's the favorite? I mean, Arizona State returning, Baylor's got a lot of talent, Texas Tech, Kansas State, we mentioned Iowa State with Rocco Becht. Like Colorado should probably still be replacing some huge names there, but they'll probably be a solid team again. It's a wide open league. It's a fun league. And it's definitely wide open. Utah, BYU, I mean, the list goes on. You can make arguments for a lot of teams.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if there is a true college football national championship contender.
Right.
I don't know that there's one that stands out to me right now, but that's what's fun about college football is teams will emerge.
Sure.
And I think in this new era of college football, expect the unexpected on a year-to-year basis. So it should be a ton of fun. All right, it is Moving the Chains coming up next on this week's edition of The End Zone. Welcome back to the End Zone. It is time for Moving the Chains, along with Josh Calloway. I'm Colby Daniels. I'm going to throw a question at you. You answer it. I will decide whether or not you have gained yardage, lost yardage, and you're going to try to get a first down on this edition of the End Zone. So let's start, before we transition to football, let's start with a couple of Thunder basketball-related questions. Sure. What's your overall excitement level or interest level in Nikola Topic playing Summer League hoops beginning this weekend?
Very high. This is a guy that, for people who know, right, NBA draft experts, would have been a top 3, 4, 5-ish pick, if not for, obviously, his knee injury. So very interested. I mean, this is a guy who was almost like a mythic figure all year on the bench. You never saw him do anything, right? He was out the entire season. What does he look like? How much can he actually help the Thunder next season? I'm extremely interested to see Nikola Topic this weekend out in Salt Lake City, and then they go to Vegas. Very, very interested.
Earlier this week, Sam Presti said to maybe temper the expectations for him because he hasn't played in a year.
Sure,
so there's
sure.
going to be a lot of expectations that he just sets the Summer League on fire. So maybe like pull back on that, but just to get eyes on him, right? And get a feel for his game and just overall.
What does he
ability,
do? Right,
yeah, just his abilities to manage a game and all of that. I think it's off the charts. So that's a strong start. Let's give you 5 yards out of the gate. And
We'll take
you're
that.
moving forward. You're moving forward. All right,
Yeah.
one more Thunder question. Biggest threats to the Thunder next season?
It's clearly between two for me, the Denver Nuggets and the Houston Rockets. I'm going to slightly lean the Denver Nuggets. They have Nikola Jokic. That's the first thing. We saw what he did this year. I mean, pushing the Thunder to 7 games. And they've got a better roster this time around. I think that they've made some really smart moves. Cam Johnson comes in on the trade. I liked getting Jonas Valanciunas as a backup big, kind of a sneaky pickup there. They've just kind of made smart moves. Houston's really good. I know Kevin Durant, that's the big move of the offseason.
Yeah.
But I think Denver, if that's the way it goes and we get an OKC-Denver rematch, it'll be another war just like it was this year.
I'm going to give you a positive 4 yards. Cam Johnson is definitely an upgrade over especially the playoff run that Michael Porter Jr.
Well, Michael
had.
Porter's always hurt.
He was terrible in the postseason as well, despite being hurt. But I think that's a major upgrade for them on both sides of the floor. And I think they're gonna be hungry to get their shot at the Thunder next season.
Mm-hmm.
I would also just throw health in that category as biggest threats because this was a team that, while maybe wasn't completely healthy in the regular season, they were fortunate enough to have everybody available through the postseason run. It's a lot of basketball, a lot of tough minutes played, and sometimes that impacts you the following season. So that may be as big a threat as the Denver Nuggets are ultimately on the Thunder's 2025-2026 campaign. All right, switching to football. OSU football will finish in the upper half of the Big 12. What do you think?
There's a lot of Big 12 teams. I just had to ask you during a break, how many teams are even in the Big 12 these days? 16 teams. I'm going to be optimistic and say they do.
Okay.
I think that, first off, I think there's going to be a lot of carnage in the conference, so probably, in 9 league games, 5 league wins probably get you to the upper half because it's going to be a lot of mayhem in that conference. I think Oklahoma State's going to hopefully bounce back. Again, we said it earlier, whenever nobody's expecting Oklahoma State to be any good, that seems to be when they kind of jump out of nowhere. So I'm going to be optimistic for Mike Gundy, and I'm going to say they get up to that 7-8 win number, win about 4 or 5 in the Big 12, and it's good enough.
I think they're going to be right on the plus side of that upper half. I mean, I don't project that they're going to win the Big 12 necessarily. Would it surprise me? No, because that's what Mike Gundy does. He shocks us when we're asking, like, where's the talent? Who are the leaders? What does the star power look like? That's when I think stars emerge in Stillwater.
Sure.
But off the top of my head, could I just immediately say they're going to be better than Iowa State, than Kansas State, than Texas Tech, than Arizona State? I don't think I could put them maybe in that top 4 or 5, but I could definitely see them being 7 or 8.
Can Zane Flores be good?
Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to give you the first down there by the nose of the football, and we're going to give you one more opportunity to score big. Mount Rushmore, I think, is synonymous with America's birthday, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to go a Mount Rushmore question. Mount Rushmore of condiments.
Mustard could be all 4 for me. I'm a huge yellow mustard
I like
fan.
mustard, yeah.
Can I cheat and go spicy brown mustard? Is that the same spicy brown mustard, too?
It's not the same.
Because you need it for a brat.
I think they're different. They're very different.
For a brat, you need some spicy brown.
Okay.
We'll go barbecue sauce.
Okay.
And then I think probably ranch.
A nice ranch?
I mean, ranch is Oklahoma's ketchup. So
I think if you go like restaurant ranch, that's the way to go. I'm not necessarily a big fan of like the bottled store
I'm completely with
ranch.
you. My wife thinks I'm insane for that take. I'm glad
I think
we're on the same
it's
page.
disgusting. Those are not the same things.
It's not.
I do feel like there was a big miss with a hot sauce on your Mount Rushmore, but the fact that you didn't put ketchup on there, I think has saved it. So touchdown, Josh Callaway with the condiments. We're wrapping up the show with 4th of July memories next. All right, as we wrap up the show, hope everyone is having a happy and safe 4th of July Independence Day weekend. Do you have any favorite memories from this holiday?
Yeah, I mean, I think 4th of July is just the best part about it is just kind of the vibes of summer. It's kind of that turning the corner toward kind of looking ahead to the fall a little bit. But, 4th of July is great. I mean, it's one of those holidays you just kind of get family together, you grill out, it's warm weather.
Yeah.
It's up there. It's in the we just did Mount Rushmore condiments. Mount Rushmore of holidays.
Absolutely. I will tell a quick story. My brother, after a few cold beverages, is firing off Roman candles out of both hands. One of them backfires as Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA is playing.
Yes.
And it hits the ground because it burns him, starts firing in every direction. People are diving behind cars. And I was like, is this not
That's
America's
perfect.
holiday?
That's
it's
perfect.
It's absolute perfection.
That's perfect.
All right, for Josh Calloway, I'm Colby Daniels. Everybody have a safe holiday, and we'll see you next week.